Hello everybody, my name is Sam. I make waifu romantic content, and today's video we're gonna talk about Hu Tao versus Childe and who you should pick for the next upcoming banners. And the answer is Hu Tao. Alright, have a nice day.
Time flows across the world.
Okay guys, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna take off my waifu over meta hat and I'm gonna approach this from a non-biased perspective because I'm already telling you I'm already biased towards Hu Tao, but let's just hear what I have to say, okay? What I'm gonna talk about this video, and I'm gonna show you as well, is we're gonna talk about like how easy it is to build a team around these two characters. We're gonna talk about how F2P friendly they are, and that goes intact with how easy it is to build a team around them. We're gonna briefly go over weapons and artifacts because this is not gonna be an in-depth guide on each of those characters. If you do want in-depth guides on each of those characters, let me know down in the comments and I can make one, okay? I can make an updated Hu Tao, I can make an updated Childe guide. We're also going to compare them as far as Hydro application versus Pyro application. Who do you want as far as a DPS carry or maybe as an applicator of the element that they correspond with? We're also going to talk about cooldown timers with these two characters, and we're going to also compare them C0, C1, and C6 just in case you're either F2P or you're going to whale for them, or you have a little bit of a budget to go for one constellation. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so I want to quickly talk about basically if you're looking for damage between these two characters, let's talk about it. So Childe, being a Hydro character, has access to Vaporize, one of the strongest elemental reactions in the game because it literally multiplies your damage ×2. Don't worry about this 1.5, okay, because this is whenever, let's just say, Hu Tao causes the Vaporize. No, but as far as like being able to do big damage, Childe is only capable of doing Vaporize. And you've seen those setups on YouTube where, you know, they set up with Sucrose, Bennett, and all that good stuff and do one big slash with his burst, which is good. It's viable. It's you can do it definitely on Spiral Abyss, but as far as a regular player, you know, you may not have access to that, or maybe you just don't want to deal with that complicated setup. But Hu Tao, her being a Pyro element, she has access to Melt and Vaporize. So that's why Pyro is one of the strongest units in the game, because they have access to both reactions. I mean, 1.5 is still significant. It still multiplies their damage by some type of multiplier. So what I'm trying to say is you can build Hu Tao around Vaporize and Melt, and you will still be doing a lot of damage. And because she has access to Vaporize and Melt, you can essentially just put on 2 crowd characters of Hydro character, and those units will support her in making sure that she is constantly creating those elemental reactions, which means she's going to be a great hyper carry for your account. Now Childe, can you do the same with him? Can you constantly apply Vaporize reactions? Let me go ahead and show you. Let's do some showcases, okay? So the first character that you know comes to mind as far as, you know, being a great partner with a Vaporize Childe is Xiangling. Let's just see who's gonna be the one causing the Vaporize reactions. All right, so let's go ahead and test the basic combo of Tartaglia and Xiangling. So as you can see, we did a couple Vaporizes, 1 or 2, because I waited a little bit. But at the end of the day, when you're slicing and dicing with, you know, Childe's elemental skill, you're really only being a Hydro enabler, which is good, right? If you're F2P, fresh account, you've built Xiangling, you've invested in her, you've given her some cracked artifacts, she's freaking cracked at Fortnite, then yeah, right, you're gonna be doing some huge Vaporize damages, right? I've seen 40, 50k Vaporizes from Xiangling, and if that's you, then that's okay, right? Because you're gonna be doing most of your damage from her. And all Childe's gonna be doing is just constantly applying Hydro with his Riptide and his slashes, and that's going to be okay because he's going to be doing some decent damage with his normal attacks. The Vaporizers are going to be coming from Xiangling. And we've already talked about this chart, right? Even though Xiangling is only doing 1.5 because it's a reverse Vaporize, I mean, she's still going to be doing some significant amount of damage. So with that being said, right, Childe is not going to be doing Vaporize reactions, which is basically the biggest source of damage that any Hydro character has. Then unfortunately, you know, if you're looking for a hyper carry DPS, then no, you're not going to get it from Childe. Childe has a better role in just being a hydro applicator. Don't get me wrong, he can do good damage, right? Like I said earlier, he can do some nice damage from his burst. But after that initial burst, all he's going to be doing is just applying hydro. And the reason why that is, and I'll give you a link to Lacola's video, it all has to do with elemental gauges and how hydro has one of like the hardest elemental gauges to get rid of. So with that being said, if you have a character like Mona or Childe that's constantly applying hydro element onto the enemies, that is the element that's going to stay on the enemies, and your supports are going to be the ones that are going to be reacting with the hydro element. And that's why you see a lot of freeze teams becoming popular, because, you know, hydro is just really good right now for just being an applicator. Now let's go ahead and compare the Hu Tao and Xingqi popular pair. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and test out who's going to be doing the pyro application or the hydro application, aka vaporize, with Hu Tao and Xingqi. So as you can see, the character that was doing the vaporize was Hu Tao, because, you know, whenever you do Xingqi's elemental skill, those swords around him, they do make the enemy wet, and then his swords are constantly raining down on the enemy. So, and like we just talked about, hydro is a element that's hard to get rid of. So basically, Hu Tao is just the one doing the vaporize no matter what. And all you need is just one character like Xingqi, which is why this pair is very popular. So in terms of damage, even though we were only doing 1.5 reverse vaporizes, it was still doing a lot of damage because it's consistent. We were doing consistent vaporizes just with Hu Tao. And if you wanted to add characters like Diona or Rosaria, if you want to add those characters, you'd be adding the melt reaction as well, right? Because we're doing hydro with Xingqi, we do a freeze with Diona, then that's going to set up a melt reaction for Hu Tao, and melt is going to give us ×2 damage. And then if you have C6 Diona, you're going to be getting extra elemental mastery, which is going to help you do even more damage. So it's just like stupid easy to build a team around Hu Tao. Like if you're looking for a hyper carry character, it's going to be Hu Tao. But the thing is, it's not that F2P friendly in terms of, well, on a fresh account or people that are low AR, right? And you're pulling for Childe, well, Xiangling is already there for you in your account. You get her for free from the Spiral Abyss. And if you have a cracked Xiangling, right, F2P, then yeah, Childe is good for your team, because you're going to be getting some decent DPS and you're going to be getting some consistent reaction with Xiangling. While we're on the subject, we're going to move on to F2P friendliness. Right now, you can get R5 the catch, one of Xiangling's best weapons for an off-field DPS, because, you know, you want to focus on her burst. Hu Tao, on the other hand, in terms of F2P friendliness, her best weapon is Staff of Homa. You already know, it's stupid good on her. The rest of her weapons, or the rest of the F2P weapons that you can get for her, they're kind of garbage. And by F2P, I mean non-gacha. Like the one you would have to get is probably from the shop, which would be what? What is it, boys? It's not here, but it's the Black Cliff polearm. Okay, that's the only one that's decent on her. The other ones you're gonna have to gacha for, like a Dragon's Bane, or buy the battle pass and get the deathmatch. Or if you want to be super copium, I guess you can use the white tassel, but it's super copium because, yeah, you get good normal attack damage, but you're not gonna be using charge attacks, okay? So that's the only thing that sucks about Hu Tao, is getting her the right weapon. Artifacts, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is hell farming the Crimson Witch domain. Best case scenario, you get a decent piece like this flower right here. And if you have super crazy luck, maybe you'll get a piece like this, power damage bonus, and you get some nice substats. But it all depends on your luck. So for Childe artifacts, you can go to 4-piece Heart of Death, a 4-piece Shimenawa set, or a mix between 2-piece Heart of Death and 2-piece Shimenawas. There's pretty good combinations. It's pretty easy to put some artifacts on your Childe. Now in terms of the weapon, the best F2P weapon, I don't have it, but it is the Hamayumi bow. Okay, this bow It increases your normal and charge attack damage by a significant amount, 16 and 12% respectively. And then when your energy reaches 100%, it increases that effect by 100%. So 32 and 24, basically. Best F2P weapon. The second best F2P weapon, but it's time gated, meaning that it was an event exclusive F2P weapon and you can't get it anymore. It's copium compared to the Hamayumi, but if you do have it, I guess you can use the Windbloom. In terms of the best 4-star weapon, it is the Rust, hands down. Okay, especially if you can R5 this baby, freaking increases your normal attack damage by 80%. Best 5-star weapon right now, it used to be the Skyward Harp. Skyward Harp is still a good option. Now the best choice for Childe is the Thundering Pulse. And we'll just see what happens when that new 5-star weapon comes out. But as far as like right now, Thundering Pulse, and maybe, I'll do a video, or maybe you'll see other Genshin tubers freaking do a video on Thundering Pulse versus that new weapon on Childe. So just wait and see, guys, okay? But this is only if you're like wailing for the weapon or you have like a bunch of wishes to spare. So the verdict is, I think Childe is more F2P friendly than Hu Tao because of his weapons, and you just get Xiangling right off the bat and she's an F2P character, whereas Hu Tao, you're gonna have to hope and pray you freaking get Xingqi just to even try to, create that combination between those two characters. All right, so let's quickly talk about what are the best team comps for each character. And then I'm also going to show you a quick showcase of each of those teams on the Spiral Abyss, just so you can kind of see an idea of the rotations and how it works. So with Childe, there's 2 ways you can rock them. You can rock them with a nuke setup, which will involve, of course, like Bennett and Sucrose. So you can definitely rock a nuke setup with Tartaglia. But if you're doing like a main DPS, like a lot of DPS with Tartaglia, it could still work. You can still cause a lot of vaporized reactions. Another team comp they can use is the Taser comp, which basically means, electrocharge Childe. So you have Xiangling doing the wheel of fire outside of him. Then you got Beidou, who can, enhance his normal charge attacks with her little thundering burst damage or whatever. And you have Bennett, who will constantly heal you and give you an attack buff. Let's go ahead and show off this team first. So in terms of building a team around Hu Tao, it is stupid easy to build a team around Hu Tao. Either you're just going to be either vaporizing or melting. Okay, so if you have a vaporized comp, maybe you have Zhongli, that's it, you're all set. Boom, hydro applications everywhere, vaporize, lowering the enemy's resistance and whatnot with Zhongli, bam, you're all set up. Let's just say you have less 5 stars. You can mix in some crowd characters like Rosaria and Diona.
うまくいくといいわね。
And now you have access to freeze and melt and vaporize and more crit rate with Rosaria, and it's just gonna be a freaking easy time for you because Hu Tao's gonna be the one hyper carrying. So in terms of building a team, guys, it's really easy to build a team around Hu Tao, okay? Just slap on whatever characters you have. Even Kaya is good. That way you can cause some freeze reactions constantly while him being off field. And let's go ahead and show off, you know, some variations of Hu Tao as well on the Spiral Abyss.
これが運命です。左右ルコ雨描き。
Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed that short showcase, which I forgot to say. I do have C1 Childe, and I do have C2 Hu Tao. Now C2 doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The main thing I want to talk about is we're going to compare these two characters at C0, at C1, and at C6. Okay, so the first comparison I want to do, since I already have it right in front of me, C1 compared to C1. So like if you're maybe going to spend a little bit of money, or maybe you have just a lot of primos saved up and you're thinking of getting a Constellation, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat that the Constellation that's worth going for is C1 Hu Tao. Not having to use stamina for her charge attacks makes Hu Tao's gameplay way smoother, okay? Because of her C1, you're able to cancel your charge attacks and just do more damage quicker to take advantage of her, you know, her 9-second window of her using her elemental skill. I mean, you can do that with C0, but your stamina is gonna vanish really quick. With Childe C1, it only lowers his cooldown by 20%, which is not a lot. If you did notice in my gameplay, there was quite a bit of downtime I had with Childe, even with C1. So imagine with C0. So let's just do a quick comparison real quick. Hu Tao, her elemental skill lasts for 9 seconds. Her cooldown 16. So 16 minus 9 is 7. So essentially she has 7 seconds of downtime no matter what. Let's do the same thing with Childe. Let's see what happens when we do 9 seconds of his elemental skill. Now let's just say we do the stance for 9 seconds for Tartaglia. Yeah, we're attacking real quick, right? Attacking. 3 more seconds left. 3 more seconds, right? And then now done. That's 12 seconds of downtime. So for 9 seconds of damage, we have to wait 12 seconds for Childe to come back. Whereas Hu Tao, we only have to wait 7 seconds. So with that being said already, obviously Hu Tao's the better one here to do more damage. She's gonna have less downtime than Childe. So for sure, at C1, now C0, let's say you pull them off, right? C0, what do we lose? we lose the stamina thing right here. We lose 20% right here. If we're going off of those 9 seconds again, you know, 20% plus 12, that's about add 2 more seconds. So 14 seconds of downtime. So it's just more downtime. You just have to manage your elemental skill even more. With Hu Tao though, you can get around her like charge attack stuff by doing a jump to cancel your charge attack animation, in case you didn't know that. We can quickly show it off right here. Okay. If you do have a C0, you can get away with that to help you cancel your normal attack animation so you can do more damage. The last comparison is C6. Now, if you're a super mega whale and you're going for C6, the better option is going to be Childe. His C6 basically makes it where he's able to be in his Foul Legacy form all the time. C6 Hu Tao, actually, unpopular opinion, it sucks. Why? Because it's a freaking 1 minute timer once every 60 seconds. I guess if you're going for like a nuke setup with Hu Tao, right, you won't have to worry about that. But if you're not going for a nuke setup, if you're going for like DPS Hu Tao, this sucks because you're obviously going to be building a lot of crit damage on her and like 0% crit rate. So if you're trying to like DPS with her without this, if this is on cooldown, your DPS is going to suck. And every minute you can get this. And obviously that's not viable, especially on the Spiral Abyss. So if you're whaling, the C6 comparison goes to Childe. Right, chat? What do you guys think? You got consistent damage right here, and then you got damage per screenshot right here. Basically, that's what it is. Hey guys, one last thing I do want to add, because my chat did mention it to me. By the way, I stream on twitch.tv/HydroSam, shameless plug. But anyways, they said, especially for you mobile players, who is easier to play on mobile at C0? And it's gonna have to go to actually Childe. All the stuff I just showed you with the dash attack, the jump cancel and all that, it's just hard and inconsistent, and you know, it's kind of a pain, but definitely, you know, it's easier to just slice and dice with freaking Childe and just go ham and do what you gotta do. So definitely, if you're a strict mobile player and you're going C0, I guess Childe would give you an easier time to play with. Because at the end of the day, guys, I can give you all this information. You could have heard me throughout this whole video. If you by the way, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I love you. But at the end of the day, it just depends on you. Play the trials. If you like Childe, get them. If you like Hu Tao, get her. Because at the end of the day, you're the one playing the character, not me. Whether you're waifu over meta, waifu equals meta, or husbando over meta, or husbando equals meta, whatever you find fun, you pull for it. All I wanted to show you is basically the whole gist of this is you want to hyper carry DPS, freaking get Hu Tao. You want one of the best hydro applicators and decent DPS, you go ahead and go for Tartaglia. But that's all I have for this video, guys. I love you all so much. And remember, waifu over meta, and I'll see you in the next video.